Hey, today I'm going to show you how to use foot position and contact to improve your deadlifting form in just a few minutes. All right, we're in the deadlifting form tip sheet again. If you guys have not found this yet and you're looking for it, go down to p2sportscare.com/shop, or you'll find through the main area that you can find all the posters. So this is where they're all at. Now, as we go in through the next one here, we've already found that this is our proper setup, was the first video. Then we had lumbar spine rounding. Then we had lean back. And by popular demand, tripod foot, because I've been probably alluding to it being such a cool thing to talk about. Now, here's the reason why I like dealing with tripoding the foot and why I like to tell people to do it very early on in their deadlifting technique. So what I like them start them to do is first recognition that there's the ball of the foot, the outside ball of the foot, and there's the heel. All 3 points at all times should be in contact with the platform. And I know I said platform there, but obviously the ground. If you have them doing on something hard, they can actually feel it better because the foot gets a lot of feedback from vibration. And the harder the ground, the more it has a chance to get those receptors working down there. Now, excuse me. So what I like to first do is have them kind of tilt their feet in. So this section of their foot, the inside part of their foot, is contacting the ground only. And you'll recognize that people do this by caving their knees, which is okay in the setup here because I just want them to feel it. Then I want them to glue this section down and this section, and I want them to actually, let's go zoom on this. Then I want them to contact this part and screw the foot into the ground, similar to like where the cue you get with squatting where you're trying to rip the flooring off the ground. This then will not change. Then we go into this setup here, okay? Put the bar in the right position, have them show the logo, crush the oranges, which flattens the back, and then create their pre-pull tension. Now, the reason why I like to do this is for a couple reasons. Is number one, so you can see that we want the shoulders in front of the bar slightly, but not excessively. If we start going excessively, they're going to lean their body forward like this, and they're going to dive up onto their toes down here, okay? So then we can look and see on their heels, and we say, hey, buddy, do you have 3 points of contact there? Are you tripoding the foot? No, okay, get it. Stick them down, don't lose them, okay? Next thing you do is you find out with people at the top here, they start to lean back a lot, and they will also go on to different parts of their foot, and gosh, I don't know why I can't think of it right now. I think they go onto their toes. So, but they'll start to lose it a little bit, all right? You see people who don't have enough trunk stabilization here, they'll start to extend back and create extension right here on the setup, which again, I've said is very commonly done. In the past, we thought this is good because it's better than lumbar spine rounding that we find over here. But as we found through the podcast, which I will put in the link description from Dr. Richard Alm, is that this is a compensation as well. And what happens here is we lose the ability to have a horizontal diaphragm, create internal pressure within the cavity here. And the reason, how you see that is because you can see the athlete's ribs flare out here, okay? Flaring insinuates an oblique nature to the diaphragm, which doesn't allow us to draw it down in a plunger style and create a high pressure amount in this area here. Now, let me bring that back real quick here because I know it's hard for people to understand. So do we want them to extend a lot during the deadlift? No, we don't. But we don't want them to flex either, such as this person. We want them to be right in the center, staring down roughly here with this person, and we want them to create, this whole section is the pillar, okay? Pillar strength is a coin that was termed by Core Performance, which you can find articles on that as well. But we're trying to stick this thing down with high tension. I did do a whole nother video series on how to develop tension in the pillar system. Now, the main way we can do this and not overuse this extension compensation pattern that Dr. Alm talked about is to create a rigid torso right here, or what you would know as the core area. Now, how I typically describe this to patients is I put a can of Coke, right, or a Pepsi right around my abdominal area. Let's just say we go down here to this guy. All right, we say, is this more stable? Is it a stronger can if I pop the top or if I don't? And they'll say, well, if you don't pop the top, and I said, what's the difference? They say pressure. Great, perfect. Imagine that can of Coke Right here we have this can of Coke that does not break its pressure. It does not have rib flare, and we don't overextend. So tripoding the foot right here is a great cue to get them to do that thing perfectly. You're set up for it. And then cue the breathing, because then they only have to focus on this. You don't have to focus on where the chest is quite as much and so on. Are they standing too upright? Blah, 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 right? So tripoding the foot, if it works for some people, great. If it doesn't for others, then ditch it. But I commonly suggest people come in with shoes off, clean socks. They're going to start doing deadlifting some of these movements barefoot, because I want them to develop that tripod foot, and I want the neurological connection between the foot and the movement. Now, again, what do you guys want to hear about next? I really do want to know. So, bar position, we didn't go over that yet. We talked about pre-pull tension a little bit, but not a ton. Proper breathing is a huge part of deadlifting, so if y'all want to hear about that, I think you should talk about that. Deadlifting versus squatting is a whole nother thing, and we already talked about lumbar spine routing. The first video was on setup. The second was lumbar spine routing. Then we talked about leaning back, and this was only our fourth. So we do actually have hips rising too high as well, if you want to hear about that. Again, if you want this poster for your gym and you want to be able to show people, hey man, you're rounding. Hey man, your hips are rising too fast. Like, these are things that I honestly don't want to show ever again in my gym, okay? Because I'm tired of hurting myself with doing poor movements. I don't like it, all right? I'd rather show them, cue them out of it, and get them to realize visually, for those visual learners, which problems they have and they keep doing. Obviously, I video them as well, but sometimes draw their attention so they can see something. I'm a visual learner. Some people are. Now, if you want all the logos and stuff and all your contact information for all your people, go ahead. Get it here. You can get it customized on my website, p2sportscare.com. And if you want the web image to show on Instagram, Facebook, your website embedded in those are all free. Okay, just contact me. Put your information into our email list, and you'll get them right then and there. You'll get everything I possibly have. So I will talk to you guys soon. Let me know what you want to hear about next.